Hey guys, Pretzelman945 here. Welcome back to another tier list video. This is another updated version of one that I made a very long time ago. Like one of the earliest tier list videos I did on this channel. Probably not worth finding because you would really have to dig for it. Which is why I'm making an updated one. We're doing animated Disney movies today. Um, because I have quite a few opinions on these movies. That I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. So, yeah, let's get into it. Very quickly, maybe I should have done this before we started recording, but what? Um, I am gonna move this here, or I haven't seen because there are some of these films that I have just not seen before. Um, or like if I literally remember nothing about it, I might put it down there, but I don't think that's gonna happen for any of these. Um, okay. So we're kind of starting off pretty hot here. Hot take in general with Disney movies. I'm not a big fan of incest movies. I think that it is an incredibly overused formula, and a lot of them are incredibly generic. Like with Snow White, I am putting that at a flat C tier. Um, it's like honestly, I don't remember that much about it. Um, but like I don't remember it being very special. Um, Pinocchio, I'm gonna put in D. I was never like a big fan of Pinocchio. I thought it was kind of a weird movie as a kid. Um, uh, a lot of these I'm not gonna remember a whole lot about, at least for the older ones, because there's a chance I might have only seen them once or twice. Fantasia. Uh, I always meant to watch that, but I never actually did see it ever. Um Dumbo. Hmm. Hmm. I think I'll keep that in C. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but I also remember I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I thought it was fine. Bambi, kind of the same thing. The reason that's in C, is mostly because due to my sisters, we watched that a ton as a kid. And I remember as a kid, I would get tired of it very fast. That's kind of the only reason, that, I would put it in C. How I just, oh, put my foot on my back. Ah. Okay. Oh, that hurt. Okay. This whole string of films, I have not seen any of those. Cinderella, I'm gonna put in C tier for the exact same reason that I mentioned about the fact I'm just not really a big fan of princess movies. I think there are definitely ones that do the formula a lot better, as we'll see in some of the later movies. Um, uh, let's see, Alice in Wonderland. Hmm. That's hard. I'm gonna put that in C. There are things I like about this movie, and yet other things that also I remember frustrating me about this movie. Cheshire Cat is easily the best character from this movie, and I will hear no other argument. Peter Pan, I will put that in B. Um, if we're talking about the sequel, then dear God, that is a different story. But it doesn't look like there's sequels on this list, so good because I would not have good things to say about the sequel. Let's just say. Um, but yeah, I like Peter Pan. I thought it was a fun idea for a movie. I love the whole like pirate aspect. I think Captain Hook is a very fun character and a villain. Um, is is her name is Wendy a little generic? I think that's her name. Is she a little generic? Yeah, probably, but like Peter Pan's charisma and everything just makes up for it. Um, Lady and the Tramp, I'm also gonna put it B tier. I think what's really cool about this movie is the way it like entirely focuses on the animals. I think that's like a very unique perspective, and I think it's executed extremely well. Um I think I watched Sleeping Beauty like once, but I wouldn't feel fair ranking it because that is literally one that I watched one time and I have no other memories of. Um 101 Dalmatians. I will put that in B tier. Again, not a whole ton that I remember from this movie, but I remember enjoying it. I have not seen Sword in the Stone. Here we go. Jungle Book. That's an A tier. Jungle Book is such a fun movie to rewatch. The songs are so catchy. I love the themes and all the characters. Um, it is such a fun movie. I really enjoy Jungle Book a lot. Uh, Aristocats. This is such a weird movie for me because I watched it so much as a kid, and then past a certain point, I barely even thought about it. Uh, Honestly, I'm gonna put it down here because the only thing I remember about it is the fact that there were fucking music cats. And I don't know if I could fairly rank it just based on that merit. Um Robin Hood. Hmm. Again, not one I remember a lot about. Actually, like next to nothing. I'll put it down there. I may have seen Winnie the Pooh something related, but I don't remember what it was. I can't remember if it was that specifically. The Rescuers? I have vague memories of that. Uh, I don't remember anything about the plot, but I remember liking the animals kind of. I'll put it in C tier. Ooh, Fox and the Hound. I'm gonna put that in. I remember why enjoying Fox and the Hound. I remember I thought it was a really sweet story between the fox and the hound itself, and I really liked their friendship, and I really liked the direction that the movie was taken. I think it's a very unique Disney film, and I think it's not one I hear talked about enough. I never saw The Great Cauldron or The Great Mouse Detective or Oliver and Company. Okay. Next we have The Little Mermaid. This is a princess movie that I feel like does the formula in an interesting way. And I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie, and I think that this movie, possibly has some of the best Disney songs out there. Um, uh, Just like I remember like it like if I know what my favorite song is today, but if you go back to 5-year-old me and I had to give an answer, I would honestly say like my favorite song was probably like Under the Sea. I remember listening to that song so much as a little kid and just loving the heck out of it. I thought it was such a good song. And I think I think The Little Mermaid has like such good songs. I love the underwater part of it. I think it's really interestingly explored. The reason that The Little Mermaid is not any higher for me is because I feel like it loses a little bit of steam when we go to the on land part. Now, I will say Ursula is a great villain. The whole thing about Ursula going on land and like trying to like fake out the prince and replace Ariel, genius. Like crazy thing to have in a kids movie. Um my biggest problem with Ariel, and this is why I actually think the live action remake is better. I think the prince is so boring. Like, I think the prince just has like no personality. And it makes it hard to watch him on screen because like that combined with like the whole plot progressing that Ariel isn't able to speak, it just like it loses so much steam because besides Ursula, there isn't like that active talking character like I think the prince should be. Um, yeah, I was not a fan of that. I don't know if I've seen Rescuers Down Under. Okay, Beauty and the Beast. Um, um, hmm. It's either it's either B or C. Hmm. I'm inclined to say B, but I think The Little Mermaid is better. I think the princess parts are a little bit more generic, but like I think Belle is such a more interesting princess character compared to compared to like Cinderella or Snow White. I think she's vastly more interesting. I really like seeing her like, freedom of spirit, that whole thing on screen is great. Gaston is a really fun antagonist. The romance plot is kind of generic, but I do really like the ending. It's got some really, really good songs, including the Gaston one, which might be my favorite from this movie. And Um, what am I forgetting? Oh, yeah, I really like all the inanimate objects as side characters. I think it adds like so much character to the movie. Okay. This is so easy for me. This is so easy. Aladdin is S tier. easy S tier. This might be the Disney movie I have watched the most, and I have no shame admitting that. It was on my top 10 animated movies list. I did an updated video of that if you want to go see that. But on that, yeah, on that list, I said, and this is true, Aladdin is easily my favorite Disney movie of all time. Um, I love the Middle Eastern setting. Jafar is such a fantastic villain. Robin Williams as the genie is fucking iconic. It's one of his best roles of all time. Um, all the characters are great. I like Jasmine as a princess, but I also really like that this movie feels like it doesn't have to just rely on that, like just being a princess movie to be a really damn good movie. Like it's got a really fun plot and premise, and Aladdin as a main character is just really fun to follow. I fucking love Aladdin. It's easily my favorite Disney movie. Um, what is easily my second favorite, and I think that no one will disagree. Maybe a lot of people, I think the only disagreement here is they would maybe have it above Aladdin, but like, I don't feel like I need to explain why Lion King is an S tier movie. It's got fantastic characters. Let that happen. It's got fantastic characters. It's got an amazing villain in Scar. It's got some crazy plot twists. It has really, really fun side characters. It has mostly great songs except for one. Um, and yeah, I am a big fan of it. It is such is a masterpiece of a film, really. Um, Pocahontas. Um, Pocahontas is, I feel like, possibly the worst example of generic princess film. I don't find the American setting that interesting. I also don't think her as a historical figure and like what she's based on, like from history, is interesting in any way. And I don't remember a lot, but I remember it was weird, and I remember the romance kind of sucked. I'm not a fan of Pocahontas. Um, Hunchback of Notre Dame is not D tier. I just have to scroll up. In fact, it's the exact opposite. This is another S tier. Um, I did not grow up watching this movie. I actually think and maybe I need to rewatch it 'cause it actually has been a long time, but I think the first only time I watched this was back in like 2019, I think. But it was a fantastic movie. Um, Frollo is such a good villain. And this is when people say this is Disney's darkest film, fucking believe it because it is absolutely true. This movie is insanely dark. But it's so good. Like, and the thing that I really, 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 really appreciate about this movie, I think it's probably my favorite aspect of the movie's writing. Um, the fact that Disney had the absolute balls to not have Quasimodo end up with Esmeralda. I think that that was absolutely genius decision because, in my opinion, it prevents it from falling into the generic Disney love story route, and it actually gives so much more depth to Quasimodo's character to see him feel really depressed. And it also makes me appreciate the darker tone of the movie a lot more because I feel like it really succeeds in that aspect. And also, Esmeralda and whatever the guy he ends up with, I still think that regardless, is a convincing, romance story, so that aspect of it works as well. But I think the absolute balls it took to not have Quasimodo end up happy with Esmeralda, I love it. It makes me respect the hell out of this movie. And it's definitely my favorite part about the writing because that, combined with all the aspects of Quasimodo's character, just makes him a fantastic main character. I love Hunchback of Notre Dame. If you've not seen it, and you're not like too young to where the darker things might traumatize you, then absolutely watch it. Um, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I was never a fan of Hercules. I thought the Greek part was like kind of cool, but I was never like a big fan of Hades as a villain. I didn't like Hercules as a character. I thought the love story was really boring, and I thought the plot was kind of generic. Um, Mulan is anything but boring. Mulan is a fantastic movie. That's the next A tier for me. This is probably my favorite example of a quote unquote Disney princess movie done right, even though it honestly, to be argued, isn't really that at all, because Mulan is such a fantastic, strong, independent, feminine character. She's fascinating to follow along as the protagonist. All the people that she's in the army with are all really fun. Um, uh, the villain I remember was like kind of generic, but it's absolutely made up for in every way by the Chinese atmosphere and setting. Because I've probably mentioned it at some point on this channel before, but I love anything to do with Chinese history, and the fact that that is the setting for this film makes it so much cooler. So there's probably some bias there, but it's overall just a really, really damn good movie. Um, Tarzan. I'm gonna put that in C. I was never the biggest fan of it, but I also don't think it has as many problems as Hercules or Pinocchio. I thought it was just meh. I thought the romance story was really generic. I thought Tarzan's character was just kind of eh, to be honest. Not that interesting to follow. I have not seen Fantasia 2000 or Dinosaur. I kind of want to watch it at some point, but I actually have never seen Emperor's New Groove. I hear a lot of really good things about it. Um, and I'm gonna put it I'm gonna edit this tier actually, so it's a little bit more. Uh, just gonna edit that to make it a little bit more clear. I saw Atlantis like once or twice when I was a really little kid, but to be honest, I do not remember like literally anything about it at all, other than it was about Atlantis, and that's about it. Lilo and Stitch is a movie I have very, very fond memories of. I think it is a very just like fun all over the place movie, but it's in a way where it doesn't really take itself too seriously. And it has really, really endearing characters. Lilo and Stitch's relationship the entire time is amazing. All the alien characters are fucking hilarious. And actually, the more I think about it, I'm gonna put it in A actually. I remember really, really liking Lilo and Stitch. All the characters, especially the aliens, they're all so, so funny. And it doesn't have like that much of a plot, but I think the way that it kind of makes it more slice of lifey and focuses on like Lilo's relationship with Stitch and relationship with her friends and her sister, and how that kind of like talks about like the strength of family bonds. I think that that was actually a much more, I guess, captivating direction for this movie to take. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. There's a planet I have not seen. Brother Bear is one of the worst movies I have ever seen, and probably pretty easily the worst animated film I've ever seen. Um, it's been a while since I did this video, so I don't, I would understand if you don't feel like digging through my channel to find it. But my most comprehensive thoughts from this movie come when I did a Final Reckoning video on it, back in it was like October of 2022. But like because of the way my video is public, it doesn't like make that much difference for the date. But my most comprehensive thoughts are on the video there. But essentially, I kind of hate everything about this movie. I think it has terrible characters. I think it's got terrible character relationships. The plot makes absolutely no sense. The animation looks awful for a 2003 film. The songs are terrible, and I hate that it turns into a movie like only two-thirds of the way through. Um, it is just an absolutely horrendous movie on like it fails on literally every level, in my opinion. Absolutely my choice for like the worst Disney film. Um, Home on the Range, I hear a lot of people shit on it. To be completely honest, I do not remember enough about that film to fairly rank it. Um, I just remember it was like farm animals, and I think it was a little weird, but like I beyond that, I don't remember it. Um, oh boy, Chicken Little. Okay, this one I definitely remember enough to rank, but God, I have such weird memories of this film. And that's because this film in general is extremely weird. Like every time I think about this film, I have to remind myself that I wasn't like on drugs as a kid watching it because this movie is so weird. Um, the the characters are extremely generic. Um, and it was Disney's first season movie, so like that part of it just looks really, really weird. Uh Um, and then it was I'm trying to remember, and then like the whole alien thing happens where the sky actually ends up falling, and then it turns into like it turned from like a Revenge of the Nerds bullying film to like this weird alien disaster film who they end up meeting an alien and then they like are reconciling with it at the end. It is such a bizarre movie. Like just thinking back on it, I'm just like really remembering how actually weird it was. um Even like the romance was like so weird. I'm gonna put Chicken Little in D. I don't think it's a great movie, but it's definitely nowhere near the abhorrentness of Brother Bear. So, okay. This might be another hot take, but like it's not as bad as Brother Bear. Hate- I hate Meet the Robinsons. I really do. It's like for me, it's one of those movies that everyone likes, but I hate. Like from the beginning, I thought the characters were extremely boring and unlikable. Um, some members of the family were kind of funny, but the concept was just extremely weird. And honestly, I think this movie has like the worst time travel mechanics I've ever fucking seen. Um, Also, the villain was absolutely terrible, and I hated the ending a lot. Like, I really hated the ending. I just, I really, really do not like Meet the Robinsons at all. Um, Excuse the noise. That was my dog going crazy. Speaking of dogs, next we have Bolt. Now, I'm gonna be honest. Bolt is not a movie I remember a whole lot about, but I'm gonna put it in B tier because I remember liking Bolt quite a lot. I think it's a very fun movie. I think the whole thing about the dog. I love Bolt as a character, and I think that his development is really good. I love the cat as well. I really like her like whole thing and whatnot. My favorite character is definitely the hamster because that guy was so funny. I don't know if there are any other characters. I don't believe so, but I really like just following. I like following their journey the entire time. Um, and I think the reunification is satisfying. But thinking back on it, like, uh, I would say maybe my biggest issue with the film is like thinking back, I really like question how much sense it makes plot wise for the owner of the dog. Her name was Penny, I think. To be like like he was like a contract slave to whatever she was doing in Hollywood, and they just like absolutely refused to let her see her dog or even attempt to find it. Uh, I don't know. That part I remember being really strange, and that's probably the my one issue with the movie. Otherwise, I quite enjoyed both. Princess and the Frog, another example for me of just generic princess film, where I really, really like the beginning, and I really like the New Orleans setting. I think that is incredibly unique, and like exploring the Black culture. I think that that is definitely the best part of the film is like in the beginning, seeing Tiana's entire culture and stuff like that. Um, I really like the villain in the voodoo guy, but for me, and I also like the animal characters as well, especially Alligator. He's a funny dude. But like it's brought down a lot by the fact that like it's the same problem that I mentioned that Disney princess films have. It's that the romance is so incredibly generic and uninteresting to me. Um uh Tangled, I rewatched this movie recently. I'm going to put it in D. I think it is I think it's a fun movie. I think it's got really fun characters. I'd say the things bringing it down is the romance is a little generic, but at the same time it's not as generic as like the others in C tier because I think Rapunzel as a character is more interesting. Because I think the whole like thing of her exploring the outside for the first time is it makes her character interesting, have some depth. Um, Chameleon was always my favorite character. The villain is a little bit generic. I'd say. But overall, it's a good movie. Winnie the Pooh, like I said, I don't remember which Winnie the Pooh thing I would have seen as a kid, so I'm just gonna put all of them down there. Wreck-It Ralph. Okay. I I love this film. I think Wreck-It Ralph is a fucking fantastic movie. I think the whole idea of making it like video game based and like set in an arcade, it's such a cool idea. And watching this when I'm older, even though I didn't really grow up with like arcade games that much, for people that did, I cannot imagine like adults watching it, the amount of nostalgia that appealed to the adults watching this film. Because like as I watch it when I'm older, there's so many like little video game references I recognized. I think is so neat, and the way that they like show the lives of these video game characters is it's really cool. Um I actually like Penelope because it's an inversion on the whole idea that it's an inversion on the whole idea of the princess trope because she's the whole thing is like she wants to become a princess and become like the best racer and whatnot, and I think her and Ralph's relationship is really interesting. Um, and I think King Candy like actually being Turbo like this maybe it's an exaggeration, but like I would maybe put him up there with like one of the best twist villains I've ever seen. Maybe again, maybe that is going a bit too far, but I think it's really not talked about enough. Like how fantastically executed of a twist villain King Turbo is. There's so many subtle hints to it throughout the movie, and it is just great. I really like Ralph's entire arc in the movie, and I really like the ending as well. I think it's great. Also, Fix It Felix is a fucking legend. Um, Now, speaking of movies with absolute shit twist villains, we come to Frozen. I know I've mentioned this before. This is a movie I refuse to do. I've wanted to do a Final Reckoning on it, but I just cannot bring myself to watch it again. Um, I watched this back in 2013 when it came out. My sisters were obsessed with it at the time. I hated it. Like, I despised this movie. I thought it was terrible. Like, and I'm not just saying that because it's a princess film. Um, that is definitely a big flaw. The whole Hans and Anna romance is so fucking stupid. Like it's utterly generic to the point of just being absolutely utterly laughably stupid. Um and like I hate the fucking trolls that why are they in the movie? It just gives me bad memories of trolls the movie itself. Like I said, I think Hans might be like the worst twist villain ever created, ever written. Um, it doesn't make any sense as to why the fuck he's a twist villain, and he's not even very good at being a villain at all. Um, I've also just I've never been a fan of Elsa's character arc. Like I think I kind of, I guess, like the idea of like the sister bond, but like that's ruined by the fact that Anna and Elsa just individually just suck as characters, both of them. Um, I think Elsa's whole arc is just incredibly uninteresting and like comically unrealistic. Also, the songs in this movie are so fucking sick. And Let It Go is still to this day, in my opinion, one of the worst fucking songs ever made. Okay, rant over. That movie is definitely in like my top 10 worst movies of all time list, but it is not as bad as Brother Bear because it has one good thing, and that one good thing is Olaf. Um, if Brother Bear had some redeemable quality like that, then maybe I would rank it higher than Frozen, but it does not. Um, okay, Big Hero 6. This is a movie I have not thought about for quite a long time, but I remember liking it a good amount. I think Baymax is a legend of a character. I really like the whole premise and the superhero part behind it. I think it's really fun. Um and I like the theme that they do with Baymax. Only problem is just like the villain doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I feel like that's the most common criticism for it, though. Ooh, man, I kind of forgot this existed. Zootopia. Honestly, I think I'm gonna put that. I think the way it deals with animals and the way that it like tells about like the problems of human society doing that, it's such a unique and interesting movie to me. Like all the characters are really, really good. And me personally, I thought the twist villain was decent. I don't think the well she the twist villain deserves as much hate as it probably gets, but um it's definitely like not a perfect twist villain either. But I think it's decent. I think the concept of it is just really, really interesting, and the world that they make of the animals living in the city of Zootopia it is really interesting, and like the different ways that they explore like animals in the society and whatnot. I just think it's really interesting. Um, to where um yeah, Zootopia 2 is a film. I thought I remember talking about that on the podcast. So I'm glad I wasn't crazy about that. I'm very much excited for Zootopia sequel, which is about a year from now. Um, Moana again. This string of movies after Frozen, these three after Frozen were like straight hits. I think Moana is a really good. Well, is it B or A for me? Hmm. Mm, it's not hard. Because I like Moana, but I don't know if I really like it. I'm gonna keep it in B. I think it's got a fun premise. I think it's got fun characters. I like Moana and Maui's relationship. I'm very excited for Moana 2, which I can't remember when that's coming out, but I know it's somewhat soon. Um, and yeah, I really like Moana. Um, I have some like negative memories of it, but that's only because when this movie first came out, literally for like 3 days, this was the only film I watched because my sister
my youngest sister was just so obsessed with it. Um, but I'm not gonna let that sit like put me down from saying it is a good film. I quite like it. Um, some of the songs could get a little repetitive though. Um, okay, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Okay. Um, I think this film is massively, massively overhated. Um, I think it's an interesting concept, them going into the internet. I think the way they explore a lot of the websites and ideas is fun and really creative. Um, but at the same time, I don't think it has near the level of creativity as the original Wreck-It Ralph. I'm gonna put it in C tier because I think it's a perfectly fine movie. Um, there are definitely like so many funny references, but I think the whole inclusion of the princesses thing was such a catch grab move. So I think it's fine. I think it's very overhated, but it's not the best movie either. I did not see Frozen 2 for the laundry list of reasons I said I fucking hate Frozen in the first place. I never saw Raya and the Last Dragon. I wanted to, but I just never got around to watching it. And in fact, I didn't see either of those. And actually the most recently theatrically released Disney film I've seen was Encanto. Um And honestly, I'm gonna put that an A. I thought that I was very surprised. Um, because I thought all the characters, I think what it comes down to is the plot is a little bit generic, and I feel like when it's not, the plot is not super memorable. Because like I didn't remember very much about it after watching it, but that honestly, that pales in comparison to how great the characters are. Every single member of the family is so memorable and so likable that, like, when I was watching it, I didn't really care about the plot because the characters were just so fun. And I thought the concept was really interesting. I thought, of course, we don't talk about Bruno is a fucking banger. There's a reason it hit like #1 on the Apple Music charts when this movie came out. But all the songs in this movie are really, really good. Um, yeah, I really, really like the characters in this movie. All the members of the family are just so fun and enjoyable. Um, but yeah, that is gonna be the finished tier list. I am just gonna quickly for my own purposes order it. So I want so um yeah, okay, I'm good with this order. And then in D tier, I would probably have Moana at the top, followed by Big Hero 6, and then Bolt, and then Fox and the Hound, and then Little Mermaid, and I think Tangled right there. Okay, that's something I'm happy with. In terms of speed here, I'm gonna put that there, and then the Rescuers by that, and then Alice in Wonderland. No, wait, not that. Bambi after, and then Alice in Wonderland. And then I think Princess and the Frog, Tarzan, and then I think Cinderella a little bit better than Dumbo. And then
I think I might keep it that way. Chicken is just such a fucking weird movie. And then of course I said I hate Meet the Robinsons, but it's not as bad as Frozen in my opinion. Um, so yeah, it's definitely not my intention when I to do this when I make tier lists. And I think people that make tier lists trying to aim for a neat bell curve, that's bullshit. But it just so happened to be a nice, neat shape here, despite not being intentional. But once again, very long tier list video. But I like recording long videos like this. So if you enjoyed, um, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I meant to say. Um, I realized there were quite a few hot takes in this video. So if you agree, so if you disagree with any of them, or if you have a particular Disney, I can't talk, opinion on a Disney movie that you would like to share, please let me know in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.